What's up, people? Welcome to Sip and Say It, man. We're kicking off episode one. What episode one? So I'm out here right now with Kev and Al. I'll let them introduce yourselves or themselves. Let me get that right. But let me start with myself, folks. You guys all know me. Most of you know me as Los, right? So, um, I want to kind of get right into it, man. 28 years of public service, jumping into the field of podcasting, right? Um, Several times I've told you guys on some of the teasers we put out there, some of the conversations we're looking to is just to deliver some raw and unfiltered um, product, right? Conversations, things that sometimes we think about it, but don't ever speak on it, right? And my concept is let's put it out in the universe and see where we could go from there, right? So I'm gonna let Kev introduce himself, and he could probably follow up with how his day was, and then we'll follow up with Al.
So this is Kevin, known as Kevin to everybody. 30 years in technology and network security and consulting. I am so hyped to be on this podcast, to tell you the truth, because it's important to have a voice, to be able to talk about things that matter to you, um, to have an opinion on other topics, a different point of view, to be able to communicate and have fun with your friends, as well as maybe have a different point of view as them, but walk away from the table knowing you made each other stronger because you got to understand each other's different point of views. My day today was pretty good. Woke up, drove 175 miles or whatever it is to get to Delaware, and came back. Uh, I'm real hyped up. Looking forward to this journey we're going to take, to the village we're going to build, to the family we're all going to become, and to the brotherhood and sisterhood that will rise from this. On to you, Al.
Yo, name's Alex, Carlos' brother. Going on 21 years of public service. Here to sip and say it.
Facts.
Enjoy the conversations, join in the conversations. Guess we all, like Kev said, we all have would say different aspects, angles, and
Views, right?
views of conversations and feelings, which is going to be interesting in all the conversations that we will be having. So yeah, also excited to get in here and listen and enjoy.
That's what I'm talking about. And I do want to say, since the show is called Sip and Say It, that today I am sipping Kugel's Summer Shandy.
Sounds good. So Al and I are actually sipping on some Arnold Palmers that are spiked, right? Half and half. So I'm with that, right? At the end of the day, we little bit of a shout out, but it would be ideal for us to sit here and enjoy a little bit of some spirits to start off our Sip and Say It episode, right? In the meantime, if you guys get to hear us sniffing a lot, is because I put out some Doritos super hot chips, and we've been munching on them as we were trying to get ourselves prepared, and we just got we're leaking all over the place. Eyes are watery, nose is running. So yeah, you'll probably hear us sniffing a couple times, but that's what it is. Some hot Doritos. But anyway, listen, we're getting right into the mix of things, right? So, for me, this is a year and a half in the making, right? Like, just wishing to kind of get into things and conversations, and I put it out to the world to, for those that are following us right now on Facebook, Sip and Say It, kind of put a little blast for people to put some topics, and then some very good topics that popped up, right? And one of the ones I really wanted to talk about, and again, just bear with us, right? Because these conversations and these topics are going to take us all over the place. And one interesting one I wanted to dive into was mental health, right? So a lot of us kind of deal with it in so many different ways, right? And for me, it's a lot of self-coaching. You kind of go through roller coasters in life. Um, and you deal with different adversities, right? Like everyday life kind of gives you something. It's just the way how you respond to it is the key, right? And a lot of focusing on what you could control, and then there's those things that you really can't control. Those are the things that you're going to have to work with, right? So, love to dive into that part of the conversation because all of us face something day in and day out, and I'm going to end up kicking it off right to Kev to see if he could kind of share a little bit and or relate to, you know, us kind of going through, and I say us people, us men and women, right, in life, kind of go through episodes and how we handle it, right, or how do we coach ourselves through it, or who do we seek to help us out with situations and people that could relate in these conversations. So I'm gonna kick it off to Kev, man. Kev, elaborate for us. Give us a little bit of what you experienced or know someone that experienced something.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good topic. I will say that we can help each other out, and ultimately, it is up to us to decide how we handle some things. And I'm a big proponent of therapy. I think it's very important that everyone has a therapist, just like everyone should have your general doctor, just like we have our uh, gastroenterologist, and just like we have our endocrinologist and everything else.
So, Kev, you're saying a professional.
A professional, but not saying that it's necessarily a psychiatrist that's going to prescribe you medicine. A therapist could be your best friend, could be your next door neighbor, it could be somebody that you can talk freely to, that you know isn't going to judge you, someone that has a good head on their shoulders and will listen to you. A lot of times, as we talk out a problem with somebody else, we actually come to the solution ourselves. We realize, like, you know what, I don't have it as bad as I think so, because now I'm talking this through. I'm relatively healthy. I have a place to lay my head in a bed. I have meals every day. There's a guy I pass by that sits on the corner with missing an arm in a wheelchair with a sign, and he's got it worse than I do. And I know that depression is a real thing. I have family that suffers through it. I, from time to time, will go through it just, I don't even know why, just something that happens. And I do have my own therapist that I talk to that has been of a great help to me. So I feel that it's a real thing. Mental, when we have our mental downfalls, when we have our issues that we go through, it's important to have someone who acknowledges that for us. Um, because in our culture, a lot of times what we will hear is that, oh, you need to go to church more because you're missing something. Or why are you going to a doctor? That means forgive me for using the word, you're crazy. Only crazy people go to see doctors like that. Or I've heard many times from family who's had issues, I've heard people say that they're possessed and they need to go to a priest. In reality,
That's deep.
That what they needed was to see a doctor and actually, in those cases, be medicated because they had issues and the medication helped them, and they were so much better after that.
So we could actually say, right, sometimes we hype or over. I guess is it the right word to say we're oversensitive or overthink our situation, right? Is that something simple to say?
That's fair to say.
And then in some situations, right, like a lot of us are in the profession and we have insurance and are so stubborn to even seek it out.
Right.
To go ahead and use the insurance that we're paying for, right? Which that insurance is a whole separate topic, but sticking to our topic of mental health, right? Like I think a lot of us are stubborn, and sometimes it takes us to speak to that friend, and or if you're smart enough, like you said, go seek the help that's needed, right? Like
Yeah, and there's no shame. That's the first step. Is there's no shame. A lot of people feel ashamed because what they feel or what they think, the thoughts they have or the feelings they have, they're like nobody's going to understand why I have these feelings, and they're ashamed and they stay quiet and they kind of live in their misery. And what it takes is that first step. Recognize, hey, I need some help. And whether it's just I want to talk to my best friend, or I want to talk to my girlfriend, or I want to talk to my husband, or I want to talk to my wife, whatever it is, start that conversation. Find that person that has your back. Find that one person you can trust and have that conversation. There's no shame in it at all.
I think the biggest part is just trying to get over the fear, right? The fear that people are going to look at you like you're weak. You can't handle it. I mean, I'm as guilty as saying certain things to certain people to man up, right? And there's some truth to it. I mean, maybe
It's what we're taught as men, especially as Hispanic men, is what we're taught.
right.
Yeah.
So I think I've been harsh. I've been harsh to say man up, but I say that to say because I felt like I've had to man up. I'm going through some roller coaster rides in the sense of when it comes to my profession and what I was involved in, and I was put to the test on many factors. But it was waking up every morning and self coaching to say I'm going to be better. I'm going to smile. I'm going to embrace what I've been given and make that day even better. And again, a lot of self coaching, but it was I'm going to be prepared better than anyone else at this point. And that was the challenge for me, right? I'm going to say I'm being suppressed. I'm not being considered for certain situations down the line because let's just call it for personal issues or personal matters that people have us, eventually assumed. But I took it upon myself to say I'm gonna make myself better. I'm gonna number one, take care of myself mentally. Secondly, professionally, I'm going to improve even more. And then have the ability to go ahead and say, I'm going to talk about this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like when you take a soda bottle, right? And you shake it and you keep shaking and keep shaking and keep shaking and keep shaking, right? Ultimately, when you crack that open, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be an explosion, right? So to avoid those things, you got to slowly release some of that pressure, right?
Mhm.
And some of that pressure for me was, again, just interacting with people. Wifey says to me that oh, you're the social butterfly. You could do this. I'm not really a social butterfly, but I don't mind interacting with people, engaging them, right? And having that conversation. The more people I get to talk to, the more people I can see how I can relate.
Do you find that by being the quote unquote social butterfly, that sometimes that's a way of you putting aside the issues you're feeling? Like you put it to the back burner because you don't have to think about it right now. You can interact with other people, you can have fun, and you're sort of maybe slightly avoiding what the real issue would be. It's one of those things like most comedians, if you look into their lives, they've had horrible lives. And the way that they survive is they tell jokes. They make everybody laugh around them so they feel better about themselves. When in reality, all that humor, all that comedy is coming from a place of pain.
So in a sense, we're saying that they're running away from it.
Yeah. So like I myself can say that I get around situations and I can open up, I can be fun, I can be, everybody, oh, this is, he's a great guy. But I'm not really talking about any really deep topics. I'm kind of having topics about things that are fun. We're laughing, we're joking. But at Alex's place, and I'm not going to mention names because it was, something else done, but I had a really, really deep conversation with two of the people there, two men. And we talked about some really serious things to the point where we kind of gave each other's hugs afterwards. And it was not something
Man hugs.
Yeah, man hugs. And it wasn't something that usually happens because we get around each other and we just want to have a good time with each other, right? We want to have these conversations.
Oh,
We
yeah.
talk about sports. We talk about whatever it is. But we don't get into those deep conversations with each other because it's a tough topic to even begin. And you don't even know where to begin. Like, if I were to tell, as an example, not that this happened, but let's say I'm over at Alex's place, right? And I said, and all of a sudden I walk up to Alex, man, smoking a cigar the other day, and I felt like actually burning that cigar on my leg. Like, in reality, how would you react to that, right? But there are people that have these thoughts and they don't bring it up to anybody because, like you said, they're afraid of how is someone going to react
Or treat them.
or treat me after I tell them that. I'm actually crying out for help.
Mm.
And then I'm being ostracized because people are going to say, man, Kevin's pretty weird. I don't think we can invite him over again because he's just not all there. So,
Well, you know what? I mean, and now I'll chime in this situation, right? When we're going through things, ultimately, right? Our environment, or let's just say our people, also is a form of healing. If you're in a bad environment, you're just going to add to your situation. If you're in an environment where there's true friendship, there's true loving, there's true caring for each other, and you could develop, just like you just said, even on his event, to talk to the two guys that at the end you guys all related.
yeah.
It's all about the environment that we put ourselves into, right? So that's important in itself. You're not only mentally struggling with something, a lot of self-coaching comes into play, your environment comes into play, and then entrusting in people that you're not going to be chastised and or ostracized, like you said, from really opening up. Like, obviously, can we just say we can't open up to everyone?
No, this is
No.
true.
You can't open up to everyone because some people don't know how to handle that stuff, and or give you advice that just don't make sense.
Or just understanding the whole situation of how to take it, how they take it, and how it's going to come out when they speak to you or say something to you.
True.
You really can't just like you said, Los, not speak to everybody or tell everybody, because for me it would be a difficult situation.
Not
I-
everybody's equipped to
exactly.
handle that, right?
You like you said, you have certain people, friends, and certain family members that you can open up to, feel comfortable, relaxed, have this conversation where, yeah, I know I can go to Los. Yo, Los, this is what I got going on, and this is how I feel. And knowing that I can go to him and be like, oh, it's just the weight off your shoulders or off your chest, like you guys were saying, and just feeling.
I think the biggest monster is each person being able to know that I have to talk about this.
Right.
Well, the moment you identify that you need to talk about this, I think that's when when the process starts. And then identifying certain people that you know that, all right, they're not here for no other benefits other than my friendship or my brother. The idea is, if I win, you win, I win, right? When you have people like that, then those are the people that you want to sit down and kind of talk to. And even that it's a matter of building courage enough to find how am I going to open this up, right? And get into this conversation. A lot of us, whether we're men or women, we have those friends. And Kev, I think you alluded to something, and I wanted to run it back to. Yeah, there's those moments when being a social butterfly and talking with people, I almost kind of put myself to the test a little bit. And I say that by putting myself to the test a little bit. Yeah, it gives me that moment to kind of forget my situation or where my mind was at, right? But it also gives me the opportunity to see if will I have enough courage to talk to people? right? To open up that soda bottle, not when it's all pressured up, but enough where I could sit there and say, "Hey, I got something on my mind. I want to throw it at you, and tell me what you think of it." Right.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, I'm gonna say yes. There's been times that being the social butterfly, I stopped thinking about or try to stop thinking about where the mind was at, and it's almost testing. Like, all right, let's engage people, talk to them, see what their feedback is. And I mean, listen, we could attest. We've been to Adelphia's numerous times, right? We built up friendships with people in there.
Mhm.
Love it when we go inside of there and hey, drinks for everybody, and they reciprocate the same way. And we all get to figure out different people's professions and where their walk of life is, right? And those are the people you start building that village with. And yeah, that's been an interesting journey for myself. But it's wild, man. It's wild. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us out there have a lot of stories and things that they go to. But I agree with you, Kev. I mean, we have to come to a point where we have to identify. There's a point in our life that we need professional help. We need to sit there and talk about it
Right.
because you know we got to understand those that we have families. There's family that's depending on us. Professions that are depending on us. And with us not operating at 100%, there's we're selling them short. We're selling them short, right? So
This is true. And thank goodness for alcohol, because alcohol sometimes is that enabler to begin the conversation. I mean, you and I have had some really good conversations out on your deck after having some drinks.
mhm.
All right.
Sip and say it.
We've had some really good deep conversations as men after drinking. Sometimes we just need that little push, right?
It's that liquid courage. That's
Yeah.
what we call it.
Yeah.
Liquid courage. Well, look, folks. I mean, there's a ton of other things that we'll love to talk about, and that was just a little bit of a segment. I was dropping little nuggets for conversation. Um, there's many other things that I think as men and women we're all experiencing. Again, from mental health, drug addiction. Now I'm talking about some of the topics people were dropping on there for me, suggesting how to deal with grief, right? How is it to manage as a man and as a woman? How to manage your profession and family life at that? Where do you that balance, right? Because sometimes our professions sometimes pull us, um, to overwork or just overexert ourselves, and sometimes let's just call it. Sometimes we half-ass home and forget about some of the things that we need to be doing.
Yeah.
Again, I told you guys about 28 years of public service. And one of the things at the short end of my career was understanding that the job never reciprocates the same way you give it, the kind of energy you give it.
Right.
I told a lot of the guys, you accumulate, whether it's PTO time, vacation time, whatever you want to call it, sick time and stuff like that. You can't take all that stuff with you.
You can't.
We got to be able to balance out taking some vacation time. And this is all part of mental health as well, right? You got to have that separation period from the job and go out with the family, enjoy time with the family, create a family,
Yeah.
create memories.
Here's one thing that put the work/life balance into perspective for me. I had an employer tell me once that there was somebody that was sick, an employee that was sick, and they were in and out all the time. And the employer said to me, jokingly, but it put everything into perspective for me. If he dies, I'll have an ad in the paper for his job in 2 weeks. And that put everything going forward in perspective, because that is true. No matter how important you think you are right now at your job, no matter how intricate you feel, ultimately, in 2 weeks after you die, you're gone, there's an ad out for your job.
Just a number.
So, I mean, really, you killed yourself. You put all these other people aside for a career that at the end of the day is going to replace you. because the business has to continue.
Yeah, we become expendable.
Yeah, no matter how important you think you are,
Well, we are expendable. Let me say it that
everybody's
way.
expendable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's just put all that into perspective for me.
Yeah. So, folks, I know, again, that was a little bit of a segment, just discussing some of our experiences of mental health. And I'm sure we could elaborate. We could go really deep into some stuff. And we'll be jumping back into that kind of conversation in the near future. Again, this was just a little bit of a teaser moving forward of some of the things that we'll love to talk to you about and or bring you on, whether by phone line, whether in person, or whether some of the locations that we're going to be heading to in the near future. We'll like to have that opportunity to sit down, sip, say it all together. So thanks, folks. I appreciate your time. And I hope to catch you on the next episode of Sip and Say It.
Peace.
Peace.
Good night.